But first of all, we're going to begin with our news. First, some news from our Diocese of Salisbury. Last Saturday, the 26th of September, Bishop Nicholas ordained 14 new deacons in Salisbury Cathedral in 2 services and in 2 groups of 7. On the same day, Bishops Andrew and Karen ordained 8 deacons as priests and on 3 separate occasions in churches throughout the diocese. And we wish them all well, and we pray for them in their new ministries together. Well, some of you may have been to Amesbury, which is not very far from Stonehenge. It's within our diocese, but in a different county, in the diocese, in the county of Wiltshire. And the Church of St Mary and St Mella Amesbury, beautiful church, has secured in the last few days a £30,000 National Churches grant for repairs to their church. Maintaining the fabric of listed buildings is a very, very important concern that is well supported by the National Churches Trust. And Amesbury has been lucky enough to get that grant. Father Darren Accourt, who is the vicar of Amesbury, who was with us, of course, as a curate for a while, and his family here at Holy Trinity. He spoke of how his churches are very grateful for this generous gift towards the overall cost of replacing the roof on their Grade 1 listed building. So well done to them, and we look forward to visiting your church when the roof and all the other work necessary is completed. Well, now some news from the National Church. I had to smile this week, I have to say, to read that the churches are using their initiative, and churches with car parks and with church halls and car parks are letting them out, and some of them are raising £20,000 a month in rental to contribute towards their church funds. Well done them for doing that. But the smile came when I read one particular article which had a picture with a sign with a big P for parking, and underneath it it was written "Pray and Display." I thought that was really, really good. Well, some other news has come in about our 1662 Book of Common Prayer. I love the Book of Common Prayer. And of course we all know that it is still the only legal book authorised by the Church of England. Well, that is now part of the Alexa vocabulary. I don't know whether you know anything about Alexa, but Alexa is a virtual personal assistant designed to compete with the likes of Apple's Siri, Google, and others. It's designed to produce voice commands and respond with contextual responses to help you get jobs done around the house. I know several people that I visit have an Alexa. But Alexa is now conversant with the Book of Common Prayer. And you can find out about all the history of the Church of England's Book of Common Prayer, and also join Alexa in morning and evening prayer in that traditional 1662 language. And it's really been designed to help people who have been isolated, people who are unable to get to church and who like that traditional language to pray in. So what a great idea. If you're going to buy an Alexa, there's a good reason to do so. Well, this coming Sunday, this is local church news now, this coming Sunday we shall be having our Harvest Thanksgiving service at Holy Trinity Church. It'll be slightly different this year because of COVID, but there will still be that opportunity for you to come and listen to our choir leading you in those wonderful traditional harvest hymns. If you're able to come to that service on Sunday, that Harvest Eucharist, it begins at 10 a.m. If you're not able to come, you can join in the service on the internet or our website at www.holytrinityweymouth.org, or you can follow it on YouTube and Facebook. So don't miss out with Harvest this year. Join in with us. If you are coming to church, don't forget we still would like you to book in using that number, and here it is now, 07396627753. If you have the Track and Trace app on your phone, you can scan it and as you come into church. It's a great tool. Please use it if you have it. I want you also to remember on Sunday Finley and Eden Bray. They are to be christened by me at 11:30 on Sunday morning. Please pray for them as they begin their journey of faith, and also for their parents and godparents. Now I want to tell you about our weekly giving envelopes. The box sets that you normally receive every year and you kindly give to the church, the new set is now available, or will be, as from the 1st of November. Giving is very important to the church, and we are so grateful for those of you who have kindly continued to give or saved up your giving and have dropped it into us. It's a huge expense to keep that enormous building at Holy Trinity. It's like a mini cathedral up and running. There's always added costs, and of course because of COVID our income keeps falling. So if you are a giver through the envelope scheme, please get your envelopes from church or arrange for someone to deliver your envelopes to you. And if you'd like to join the scheme, please have a word with me or one of the church wardens. Email me if you want to, and I can sort this out. I don't like talking about money. I never have. I don't think it's my role as a parish priest, but at times there is no option but to point out to everyone the harsh realities that all our churches are suffering at this time. And I would just kindly like to ask you to just consider how much you're giving, and whether you could increase that giving just that little bit. If everybody who gave just increased just slightly, it would help us and it would increase our income at this time. So I please urge you to try and think about that and about your giving. I know times are hard, so I leave it with you. But thank you to all of you who give. Well, now to an event that happens and has to happen every year. It's our annual parish church meeting, and that's to take place on Sunday, the 18th of October. The 18th of October at 11:30 a.m. in church. That's after our Sunday service that morning. The church is a COVID-free area. We will all be sitting distanced. Everyone will be required to wear masks, and sanitizer will be available for you to use. Our PCCs need to comply with charity law, and therefore we have to hold an annual meeting every year. Before the annual meeting, there is the annual vestry meeting, which elects our church wardens for the next term. After we have elected our wardens, we move swiftly into the annual meeting. And this meeting should be quite informative, where all present will hear about what has happened in the life of the church over the last 12 months. The church PCC secretary will give us a rundown of the year's PCC meetings and what we have discussed and achieved. And then we will have elections to our church council. We will elect our sidespersons and all church officers. We will also elect new deanery synod representatives. Our present reps are standing down, so we are due to elect 2 new members. And importantly, there is an any other business section at the annual parish church meeting. This is an opportunity for all those only on the electoral roll, to ask questions about the life of the church, about anything they would like to, and to address it to myself, the chair, or any of the particular officers or church wardens. I hope that you will be able to come along and join us, and I always like to think that when we have heard the things that we've done in the year, we then look forward to what lies ahead. Things seem very bleak at the moment, but I would like to assure you that we won't be here forever. So let's think about what lies ahead and the good things that we have to look forward to. And finally, this morning in the news section, you may have seen or will see shortly that Holy Trinity PCC, as part of our commitment to giving to our community, supporting our community and our parishioners, we have given £300 to the Chapel Hay Play Garden. Chapel Hay, for those of you who do not know, is the area just above the church. There are several blocks of flats, and the play area is in the middle and used by lots of families. And we have committed ourselves to giving £300 towards new play equipment and towards their insurance. So I would like to thank the PCC for their commitment to looking beyond the church building to our community, because it is people that matter, and people that Jesus served, and people that we too are called to serve. Well, now enough of me talking for a little while. Anyway, we're going to listen now to a piece of music. It is the Corpus Christi prayer. I hope that you enjoy it.
This is the Corpus Christi Carol by Benjamin Britten.
Well, thank you, James and Lizzie. Lizzie, you really do have a very, very beautiful voice. It's lovely to hear you sing, and a great privilege to have you singing and conducting our choir on a Sunday. So thank you both very much. We'll hear more from you a bit later on. Well, as I said at the beginning of our programme today, we continue to share things about members of our congregation and their talents. And today we have a very talented lady who is going to tell us a little bit about how she spends her time in the centre of Weymouth in a very, very lovely house.
Hi Andrew,
Hi Chris,
welcome to my studio.
thank you very much for inviting me into your home and this lovely studio. It's full of light and for us to see your wonderful artwork and sculptures. Christine Rashley Berry is a member of our church at Holy Trinity here in Weymouth, and she sings in our church choir, and it's just lovely to come and see what talent we have here today. And Christy's going to explain some of that to us as we record this short video. But first of all, Chris, what inspired you to paint, to start painting?
Well, I've been painting all my life, really, on and off. But when I retired, because I worked 25 years for British Gas as a manager, and when I retired, I thought, well, I'll start developing my painting.
Mm-hmm.
Although I've always been creating, I've been doing sculptures and pottery and goodness knows what. So I studied for an A-level in art, and then I did my foundation course, and then I decided to go a bit further and take a degree, and so I applied to do my BA, and I went to Cheltenham and did a BA there, and after my BA I was able to go to Wimbledon. I did at first apply to go to Wimbledon, and they turned me down and told me that they thought I ought to be applying for a sculpture degree. But I wrote to them and I said, well, I couldn't convince you before, so perhaps I can convince you now. And I went along with a couple of paintings which I took off stretchers and rolled them up because so to show them that I was a painter.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I unrolled it and showed him my paintings. He did ask me, he said, do you know the artist Larry Poons? And I said, no, I never heard of him. He said, well, one of those paintings is very much like that. He said, he's an American painter. And I thought, well, that impressed him a bit then. So they gave me a place at Wimbledon. So I did my master's degree at Wimbledon.
Wow.
And so I became a Millennium Master of Arts at the age of 65.
Fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. It just goes to show, doesn't it? So tell us about a little bit about your style of painting and the techniques and type of paint that you use, Chris.
Well, I have used all sorts of mediums, tried them out, but my style really is all connected with movement, and it all relates to the sea, because the sea is always moving, and when there's boats on the sea and there's spinnaker flying, it's a movement of colour.
Yes.
And light as well. When the sun shines on the sea, it gleams, and so in my paintings, I'm trying to create that movement. And also I've done a lot of sailing, and when you're on a boat, sometimes you get this funny unsteadiness, and so I try to do that through tone and colour, and create an image that it's alive, really. A lot of paintings I've looked at in the past, I've thought, well, that painting's absolutely dead. Well, I want my paintings to resonate, to show movement. So,
Chris, can I just move around and have? Do you mind if I
no,
take
not at all.
some?
And I use the method I use. I don't use a paintbrush,
Oh wow!
rarely, and everything I do, I build up in geometric shape. Although on some of them you can't really.
Gosh, that must take ages.
Well, it does. It takes months sometimes. And when I was at Wimbledon, we had our studio on a sort of industrial estate, and there was a lots of different metal bits, metal pieces cut in geometric shapes, and so I gathered up a few, and I made myself stencils. I cut round them. I managed to get some nice thin plastic.
Yeah.
And I used these metal pieces to carefully cut round and build up lots of different stencils. So as I'm sort of building things up, I might use that one or that one, and that's the way I work my paintings out, by using different shapes.
And are there any particular colours that you like to use more than others? I mean,
Well, I suppose being seascapes, I do use a
lot of blue.
I
Yes, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and I do like blue.
Yes, blue is beautiful.
But yeah, so that's the method I've been using. I did also use oil paint with these are all acrylic, because when you're doing layer after layer, you want something to dry quickly.
Yes.
So I use acrylic for that. But these spin paintings I did with oil colour in a liquid state. So I'd mix oil paint with turps and get it quite liquid, and I would put them on a turntable, or before, some of them I did when I still had my pottery wheel, and I used to put them on the pottery wheel and then drop the colour in, or use a brush then to mix them in, to give it resonance. And
Of course, I'm also conscious when you mention pottery wheels that it's not just painting. You're a sculptor as well, and behind you've got pieces of work that you've done there as well.
yeah, well, this bit of work I did in 1987. It's marble. I'm going to have a drink, Andrew. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's carved marble, and I put it to the Royal Academy summer exhibition. And when I took it, the chap said, "I don't think they're going to accept this because you haven't got it fixed to the base." And of course I didn't. I was a bit naive in those days, and I didn't fix it. So I said, "Well, leave it and see what happens." And it actually got through to the second viewing. So I've got their official card somewhere that says that, you know, the artist can keep this. But so they did actually consider it, and so I was quite pleased with it.
Gosh, I bet you were.
But I do enjoy carving marble, but I haven't done it for a long time.
It's lovely marble.
And yeah, it's a beautiful stone to carve in. The little figures, I can see how Michelangelo said figures, he could see figures coming out of the marble. Well, so could I when I was doing
Yes.
that. Oh, I could get a figure in there.
In my last church, we had a Barbara Hepworth marble statue of the Virgin and Child, and it was absolutely stunning. The marble was so smooth, and people used to go up and touch it.
Tactile.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And it was such a tender sculpture.
Yes.
And marble is lovely to.
I love them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the lecturers in the college gave me that lump of marble and said, "Here, I'll see what you can do with that." And,
Well, you've done a fabulous job on that.
when I showed it to him, he said, "I've been trying for years to get stuff into the Royal Academy," and he said, "I've never even got to the second stage."
Well, tell me something. I know that we were talking, and we've talked before about your Christian faith, and that it's something that, you know, you've always had with you, much like me, really, was brought up in the Christian faith and don't really know anything different.
No.
But do you think that your ability and your skill at doing work like you have been doing in painting and sculpture has been influenced by your faith in any way?
Well, I suppose it must do, really. You know, it's just a wonderful thing to do, and it's like, well, like God's creation.
Yes,
really.
yeah, it is.
You're creating, and it's a joyous thing to do, and you know, I'd recommend anyone to take up painting, because I think Kandinsky said you go on a different level. He calls it, Kandinsky said that colour comes from the soul.
Yeah.
And you do go on a different level. I know I'm on a different level when I'm painting.
Yeah.
It just absorbs me, and it's a wonderful thing.
And I mean, of course, you know, art and has been very much part of the inspiration that has made the church. I mean, the art down through the centuries. I mean, there's some of the most beautiful paintings which, you know, tell us something about the wonder of God. I mean,
Yes.
Michelangelo's sort of Sistine Chapel is one of them. I mean, probably the greatest.
Yes, I've been there. I've seen that. And St. Peter's, when I saw the Pieta.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Stunning.
the most tender
Stunning.
sculpture you could see. But there was one painting once that did absolutely blow me away, and it was so unexpected. I went to see an exhibition. It's so long ago, but I can't remember where I was. It was obviously in London, I would think. And I went to this exhibition, and it was Salvador Dali.
Oh, I love Dali.
And as I was walking around the exhibition, I suddenly seemed to look down, and there was Dali's Christ on the cross.
Yeah.
And it just took my breath away.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind.
As though Christ is looking down upon the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes. It was wonderful. And it was the last thing I expected Dali, because I only thought of Dali with his mounted clocks and different things. You know.
Yeah.
But when I saw that, it
Extraordinary.
really blew me away. Yes.
Well, thank you, Chris, for allowing me to come to your home today. And I'm just going to have a little whiz round at your paintings, if you don't mind, because I think it's really good for our viewers to have a look. This is one which I would love in my lounge. And really, the blues you were talking about just now really do speak to us as we look at that. That's just absolutely amazing. And we can see how you're inspired by we've even got the lifeboat in this one.
Yes.
Absolutely fantastic.
Yes,
and that's our Weymouth lifeboat.
Well, that's a print there, but the big picture was as big as the blue one on your left there.
Was it?
Yes, that's a print of the original.
Fabulous.
But the original nautical chap bought it.
It's just absolutely stunning. Really is absolutely stunning.
That's my lounge at my last house, and I did have that painting there, and the big blue one.
Yes. Oh, I can see that. Looks lovely in that situation.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chris. So we're absolutely delighted that you have been able to speak to us today, and
You're welcome.
we're just so lucky to have such talent in Weymouth, and especially at Holy Trinity Church. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Yes, thank you very much, Chris. It was lovely to come and visit you. It was a lovely day too, which made it all the more special. Well, now we're going to have our hymn today. And if you're sitting comfortably at home, enjoy it. And although you can't sing in church, you can at home. So join in with our hymn today.
431, uplifting tune and words. We have a gospel to proclaim.
Hope you enjoyed that hymn. I like the old hymns. Well, now we're going to take a little trip down to Devon and to a place which has become quite important to me as a priest and a centre for me to find a place to reflect and pray each day. Well, here we are today at the Lich Gate of Little Torrington Parish Church, dedicated to St Giles, and above the Lich Gate is written, "This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven." This is a delightful little hamlet, and it's glorious day here in Little Torrington. Little Torrington was originally a Saxon settlement called Torritona, which obviously derives its present name of Little Torrington. It's mentioned in the Domesday Book of 1066. Beautiful tower, which stands 67 feet high. Although only a modest size, very prominent in the landscape built up on the hill. It can be seen from miles around. It was replaced by an earlier tower in 1438, but since then has been rebuilt. And here is the war memorial, commemorating 13 men of the parish of Little Torrington who died in the 2 world wars. It's quite a vast churchyard once again. And as we begin to venture up the pathway, we again see the magnificence of the church, and we begin to see how old it is. Notice how the tower has been clad. It has 6 bells now, but originally only had 4. The 6th bell was added in 1907. As we approach the church porch, you may not be able to see it, I don't think, but there is a lovely slate sundial with a Latin inscription, Fugit irreparabili tempus. And that actually means time flies irrevocably. I've just passed a big wasp's nest on the right, so I'm going to move a little bit faster up the path. So here we are at the porch then. Above the medieval oak door of the porch, you won't be able to see this either, but there's a statue of the Virgin Mary and Child, recently restored to this position when it was discovered that the church had originally been called St Mary's. The name of St Giles apparently was an error dating from the 1850s. And this door is quite old, and here it has a prayer on it, which we shall pray a little bit later. Most of the churches that I'm visiting at least has a prayer on the door for us to pray. The first recorded vicar of Little Torrington was instituted as early as 1259. So this really is quite an old foundation, and I suspect there was a much older church on the present site. The church door is well worth mentioning. The 15th century iron studded oak door has an iron latch, handle and lock, and the large medieval iron handle on the door is almost certainly a sanctuary ring used in medieval times for fugitives seeking safety from violence or arrest. So we're now going to walk around the back of the church to the west. And as we move forward on your left here, you will see a tiny little gate. And a little sty to go over and walk across the fields, probably going down to the Tarka Trail, right across the fields. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like part of the inside of the church. I know that they're reordering it at the present time. Again, huge churchyards in these villages, and the gravestones of olden days were much larger than those of today, and don't you think they stand like rows of soldiers, very upright? Here I come every day to this little church. It's not far from where I stay. Look at that tower. I come here every day to say my daily office as priests should at ordination, promise to say their prayers whether they're working or on holiday. And if I can't get in, I normally just wander around the churchyard or sit on a gravestone. There's the old coffin shed. Lots of these old churches still have those, now being used as storage for the lawnmower. But a lovely, lovely visit here, and I just had to share it with you. Keep us, good Lord, under the shadow of your mercy. Sustain and support us in these times, that we may find comfort knowing that nothing can separate us from your love. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's a lovely, lovely place, the Church of St Giles, Little Torrington. Very peaceful, very peaceful. Well, now we head back with me again, out on my ramblings and my thoughts and my thinking about Scripture and certain passages that have a message for each of us.
Well, good morning. I'm out very early this morning, and it's the best time of the day to be out, really, if you're rambling or walking, but it's a bit cold. I'm following today the course of a stream, which I'm not quite sure where it's going to lead me, but I know that my next stage of my journey is going to take me in to rather dense woodland, and I hope it's not going to be too messy. I'm not quite sure whether I should be along here either, as I've come off the footpath, but it'll take me somewhere, hopefully somewhere that I will recognise. But as I've been walking, I've been reflecting, as usual, on different aspects of Scripture, thinking about the church, and thinking about our lives together as Christians. And I've been drawn to the Old Testament this morning. You know, we preach very much about the gospel, and that's absolutely right. But there's some wonderful, wonderful stories of the history of how God works amongst his people in the Old Testament. I've been thinking a bit about one of my favourite prophets, the prophet Jeremiah, today. And I think it's chapter 28. And I've been thinking about chameleons and lizards. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, how strange to be thinking about such things. But if you think of a chameleon, you know that wherever a chameleon, if you've ever seen one, I've seen several over the years, wherever a chameleon or even a lizard stands, it very often changes colour in order to protect itself. so it can blend in with its surroundings so people don't notice it. And it occurred to me that actually Christians are sometimes very good at doing that. They blend into their surroundings to protect themselves in order to be free from ridicule and persecution. And then I thought to myself, well, but at the end of every Eucharist, I always stand up in front of the congregation and I say, go out into the world in the power of God's Spirit to tell people about your faith. And I wonder, do we do that? Do we do that enough? It's okay and it's safe, isn't it, when we're with our own church family, when we're amongst Christians, when we all have faith, to share that faith with one another. And of course, nobody wants to be teased or ridiculed, but so often we just blend in when we're not in our own faith community or with our own church membership. During the week when we're at work and doing other things, we just blend in. We don't tend to talk or share our faith as we should do. Perhaps some of you do, and that's absolutely brilliant. But if we don't tell people about Jesus, how will they ever know? How will they know about our faith? The faith of a Saviour who saves us, who walks with us all the days of our life, if we do not tell them. Then it occurred to me that the prophet Hananiah was a bit like that. He protected himself by telling people what they wanted to hear. And then there was dear old Jeremiah. And, dear old Jeremiah, he was steadfast in his faith and what he had to endure as a result of his faith in God. But he did it, and he was persecuted for it. However, Jeremiah stood steadfast. In today's world, when so many people are vying for our attention, so many people are searching for some meaning to life, we ought to be telling people about Jesus. I was reading an article in the newspaper a few days ago about, how the Christian church is dying as we know it, and the Church of England is dying. I don't believe that. But what I do believe is that we do need to proclaim what we believe. And it may not be what some want to hear, but it is the truth that Jesus died for us all. And it's all there in Scripture. So, let us go out into the whole world to proclaim the good news. Anyway, I hope you're not a chameleon, by the way. I'm going off now. If I don't appear again on video in the next few days, you'll know I've got lost or fallen into a river or something. I hope that won't happen. See you later.
I hope you enjoyed that short reflection today. And what I said, I truly believe. How will people know about Jesus if we do not tell them? Faith is for sharing. I hope you will do so. Well, now we are coming to the end of our programme today, and we have our time of prayer and reflection. But before we do that, can I just remind you again that on Sunday, please join us for Harvest Thanksgiving at Holy Trinity Church at 10 o'clock. And you will be listening to those wonderful traditional harvest hymns. Slightly different, of course, this year, but please come along. If you can't come along, please do join in at home online, and you can do that by visiting our church website on www.holytrinityweymouth.org, or we have a YouTube channel, and also you can watch our services on Facebook. So don't miss out this harvest. Join us as usual. And I'll be back again next Thursday for another programme of more Tea Vicar, and with some more, I hope, interesting news, views, stories and music. So, hope to see you soon. All the very best. God bless.